The point is that I don't agree with both sides going to political platforms and saying, hey, censor this. I think that's something that all of us from whatever political spectrum you're on should be able to agree with, whether you're super hard, far left, right Republican, or if you're a far left socialist Democrat. You should be able to get on this bandwagon and be like, what they're doing is not okay. Because at the end of the day, you're stirring the pot. And you're basically saying you're crazy for saying something like this. Like the Hunter Biden story came out and everybody was like, that's not true. That's not true. And it was like, bro, they had his computer, his ID. They had all his signatures on everything. I mean, like, it's not real. It's not real.
Initially, the DNI came out and said this seems like a very real thing. And then the FBI said the exact opposite. So it was very contradictory.
And then you have the FBI going in and saying, like, you need to limit this. And then 2 years later after Biden's officially elected president, then you're like, oh, okay, that was real. It's like they were trying to push a specific person into office, and then they used that to censor the right. Like it's just
not only was it that, but they also they came out and they said the way in which they did arbitrary Elon's files basically said the way in which they did censor certain right-leaning people, figureheads like Charlie Kirk, was arbitrary. They would make a model and then they'd ask this dude, I forget his name, like how it worked, and he said, oh, it's pretty much arbitrary. And they did also censor people who were running from Congress that they didn't like. And there was another thing I'm kind of remember off the top of my head.
There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's the funny thing of it's the same thing where they were trying to criticize Elon for making the $8 Twitter balloon. And it was like, this is terrible. And then nobody cares that like Twitter employees were charging people $15,000 for verification. It's just they're saying what they're doing things, and they're doing all this political theater to push a certain agenda and make it seem like, oh, the right is crazy, like censorship isn't real, all this kind of stuff. When it's like both sides are doing it, and we should all
gaslighting.
Yeah, both sides are doing it. As Americans, we should all come together and be like, they should not be able to. Political figures, the FBI, the CIA should not be able to go to a political to a platform and limit political reach just because they don't like the person on the opposing side or they don't like the way that's going.
They did. It was not simply because they just didn't like them, because they didn't like the way they look. They had a good argument as to why that content should be limited.
No, they didn't.
No, it was.
The Biden story?
A Twitter employee
literally said it was
arbitrary.
Let him finish.
What story?
Let him finish.
Both the Steele dossier and the Hunter Biden story should not have been published as they were before more reporting was done to make sure that they were coherent.
So you don't agree that the Hunter Biden story, where all he had to do was pick up his laptop, he never picked it up, so the guy had the legal right to go into it. No, just wait.
It doesn't even matter.
Let me finish. So having photos of this dude doing drugs, having content of him with prostitutes, all kinds of stuff like that, you're saying that shouldn't have been reported on when it's clear as day what he's doing?
No, he's saying how it was reported on was bad. It should have went through more of a code of ethics, I think.
Yes, it was a breach of the ethics by both BuzzFeed and New York Post